Hey, ladies and gents, it's Zim back with another classic game, and we are going to be playing Empire Earth. Well, I'm just going to be actually going over the review of it to give you guys kind of an idea of what it's like, and some of just random gameplay of the different epics in this game. Uh, it was released in 2001, which is interesting if anybody's ever played Age of Empires. This was actually produced by uh, the creator of Age of Empires. So this was a little bit later. This was, like I said, 2001. Now, what's interesting about this RTS game is that each one of these epics are there's 14 of them in the original pack. There's a 15 in the expansion pack, but the original 14, you can play each one of these epics by themselves, right? You don't actually, you can choose just to play in the Renaissance period, or just to play in the modern era, or just to play in the Nano Age. And it's got great gameplay in all of those. I mean, you can literally play just one of those epics and play just one of them for hours. What's interesting because is like if you played any of the Age of Empires games, is that you have a very finite amount of resources. You don't have that in Age Empire Earth. This game you can play. The resources are mind-boggling huge. So gold, steel, or I mean gold, iron, stone, wood. You can mine it forever, and able to continue fighting. Um, if you start at the first epic at 1 and go all the way to 14, it's a long process, right? With all this resources, I mean, I've had games of where I've killed over 150,000 units, enemy units, right? The AIs are super aggressive, depending on, of course, what's easy, hard, or easy, medium, or hard. You get into the hard levels, it's just insane. The sheer number of units, they just keep pumping at you. It has an outstanding map editor tool. You can create historical battles with all of the equipment and the different units that you get to use in the game. You can customize maps. Yeah, it's such a great game. This is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, RTS game to play. I mean, we're talking 17 years ago. So the graphics are of course lacking compared to what you can see now. But there's so much replay in this game. I mean, even now in 2018, I can sit down and play this game for 24 hours, no problem. I mean, easily do that. So yeah, and for the most part, um, I do believe right now it's on GOG.com for like $3. The original one. And I think for 8 you can buy all the expansion packs and Empire 2 and Empire 3 if you wanted to. That kind of thing. This spans 500,000 years of history. So there's so much gameplay, so much gameplay. I mean, if you're into RTS games, this is probably one of the best that was ever created, at least in that period. Of course, we're talking newer stuff. Obviously the newer stuff has better graphics and all that stuff. I mean, we have 21 different civilizations. There's actually 3 campaigns you can do, not just play the random against the AI. You can actually do a campaign, um, the campaign mission, which is super fun. I'm sorry, it has 5 of them. There's a learning campaign too. I thought there was only 3, but there's a Greek campaign, English campaign, and the Russian campaign. So yeah, there's just a ton of um, gameplay. And as far as I'm concerned, this game never gets old. Uh, you can be dazzled by the newer graphics, but for just pure solid gameplay of sitting down and losing yourself for hours and hours, blowing shit up. Yeah, this game does it. So I'm going to bring you a little bit of gameplay from a couple. I think there's like 4 different epics that I'm going to show you. Just some random ones. I believe I'm going to do the Stone Age one, the very first epic. Then I'll do the Bronze Age. Then I believe the Renaissance Age, World War II, and then of course the Nano Age. Just to kind of give you some of what it looks like, some of the gameplay and stuff. I'm going to be bringing more gameplay from when I'm actually going to start playing the game from the beginning and on. This is one of those games. I remember buying the CD for it. Yeah, but this is back when we had CDs and playing I was working on the road at the time, so I'd get off work and just sit down and play for this for like 4 hours. I was just like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, shit, I just wasted 4 hours, and all I was going to do was play a quick game. There is no quick games in this game. If you settle in, it's a 2 hours plus gameplay. Uh, you know, like I said, and there's some of them that I've played for literally 20 plus hours of just screwing around and doing kind of different things. Especially if you do the map editor, creating your own maps and battles, and it just gets ridiculous. So I'm gonna bring up the gameplay for you guys to check out, and hopefully, I said I'm gonna try to keep up some more gameplay coming for this game, along with Blitzkrieg. So hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, back with the gameplay for Empire Earth. And in this game you start out with, I'm actually playing this on a island map. You get to choose right off the bat, you get to choose civilization bonuses. You have 100 points you get to choose from. Depending on how many epics you're going to play, you're going to play the whole thing, so you got to think ahead of a little bit. Most times I usually pick stuff that's has to do with the economy, buildings, walls, and towers, and those like things that are going to be important later on. Or they don't really change a lot, I should say. Of course, there's cavalry, aircraft, archers, and all that stuff. So you get all these different things. So when you start out in the game, you start out essentially as a Stone Age tribe. You see me here building a barracks right off the bat. I'm going to build a temple as well. And it's like a typical RTS. This is all about gathering resources. And, you can see the islands down below here in the mini-map. I'm building essentially a gathering area here for food. There you can see the food patches, and of course I said I'm starting chopping out wood. I usually play this on deathmatch, which is I start out with a complete set of resources. I'm not if I'm looking for, and I was doing this obviously just for the video. Usually I start out with you have 0, and there's quite a bit of build up because you have to gather the resources, of course, to advance to the next level. And I'm actually going to advance to the prehistoric, from the prehistoric, which we're playing right now, to the Stone Age, to give you guys some of what I'm talking about for the play-wise. So, I got my villagers. I'm creating more villagers. I got my temple up. And if you've played Age of Empires, you know what I'm talking about here with these priests and prophets. They have the ability to convert enemy units. And in this game, they have kind of an odd ability, which makes it a little bit interesting. Later on in the games, you of course get nuclear weapons and stuff. This is the prehistoric version of nuclear weapons with the prophets. So the big number 2 there above my villager down there means I'm ready to upgrade to the next level, which is of course the Stone Age. Now, which is great about this game is the ability to play just one epic. I mean, I could just sit here and play just a guy kills me every time. Got that mask on. I could just play this prehistoric map and gameplay with the units involved and all that kind of stuff. Of course, I can't do it on the islands because I don't get boats until the Stone Age. Gather resources. If you guys are, not into watching elephants and giraffes die, you might want to turn this off because they are a food source. So any animals that you see on the map are, of course, easily can be killed and turned into food source and be gathered. So you also get scouts. These K9 scouts here. I'm just going to turn on the automatic exploration, and they're going to be running around. Just like all RTSs, you have to be able to keep your population capacity up. So the only way to do that is to build houses, which I'm going to build a few here. Kill me a giraffe, skin it out, and start collecting the food from it. Of course, there's farming and all that kind of stuff too. So I got a priest now. He does the one that actually converting. The prophet, however, he has an interesting deal. So you see down here, a couple of these are shaded out. You got to wait till his power builds up before you get it. You can get a tsunami. You can get a volcano. And you can get, earthquakes, malaria, infestation of rats. Like I said, they're like the doomsday weapons of the prehistoric age. You get them all the way through the game, but it's kind of fun at this level to drop about 5 of those guys into an enemy base and just wreck them. So I've upgraded to the Stone Age here, and now I actually have a dock. I'm able to start building boats. And I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here. I played this a little bit just to give you an idea. So I did jump ahead a little bit after I was able to get up on the Stone Age. And of course, I have rafts and skin boats. That's my first naval units. The villagers are still working here. I'm starting to gather golds. I'm still building defense towers, that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, that kind of stuff. So here's what I was talking about. The gold mines: 299,992 gold. You never run out of resources. And you can see in the map below, there's gold mines and iron mines and stone mines scattered across the map. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had some of these games where I've killed 150,000 units and never even tapped half of a resource. Like the one, say this, for example, this iron deposit here. I've never even used up half of it. So you can play just huge, epic battles with this thing, and never ever worried about running out of resources. So I got my clubmen, I got my stone throwers, and I got my first naval unit, of course, which is the war raft. And you can and you can see down here, you can actually upgrade it individually. I can add more defense, more attack, or more health to it. There is a mod that lets you change this so you get a better zoom out. I don't use it, of course, but here's what I was talking about: how wicked fun these little first characters are. I just clicked on the volcano, so now he's gonna make his little, and I can zoom in here and show you his little dance as he comes across the screen. He kills me every time I see him. So he's on his way over here. He's going to drop me a volcano. Right, that's what he does. These are natural disasters he can create. He's a witch doctor, I guess. I don't know exactly what his. He's just called a prophet. So now imagine one of those things in an enemy village, because once it gets up to a certain height, it starts spouting off. Fireballs. Yeah. So yeah, once he uses up his mana, he's got to let it to rebuild, and then he can go do another one wherever he wants it. And that thing will go off for a better part of 5 minutes. So yeah, it's kind of like I said, the doomsday weapon of the prehistoric age. Start gathering more resources, and of course, my war rafts are up and running. Those guys in the front actually chuck rocks. It's fucking hilarious watching them chuck rocks at other war rafts. And of course, I have a transport raft where I can load up 10, I believe, and all that kind of stuff. So my volcano's going off. I love that. Like I said, there's 6 of them. You can do it. So I've skipped ahead here. This is the Bronze Age, to show you kind of the different the epics, the different units you can build. This one you're going to get Roman legionnaires, war elephants, that kind of stuff. So this is actually, I think, the 4th or 5th epic after the prehistoric one. And you can start. This is when you start being able to build towers and walls, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna mosey on in here. My citizens are gonna start building me barracks, archery, and stables, so I can start building up a military force. And like I said, once again, I'm playing this on deathmatch, which means you start out with all the resources you need to really start a hellacious battle. Now I'm playing just on the on these island maps. Of course, there's a continental one where there's no water. There's a Mediterranean one where there's a large water sea in the middle, completely ringed by water. You get triremes, the old school rammers with the catapults and all that stuff. Transports, fishing boats. You can see out in the water those little splotches. Those are actually fish. You can go out there and harvest the fish, just like you would if you planted a farm or a pumpkin patch or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. So you got ballistas, catapults, all that kind of stuff. Some of my first horse units are just starting to come out now. The great thing about it is you have to build up relatively quickly, because the enemy is going to be pushing you. So I got my Bronze Age cavalry already up, and they're going to start pushing you immediately. So you have to play somewhat on the defense until you're able to at least get yourself a decent economy running, because that's really about what this game is about, is keeping the economy rolling as much as possible. What's also awesome, you also get 6 wonders that you can complete, and they each give you a value. That was the Tower of Babylon. So once again, now I've jumped to the Renaissance age. This is a little bit more, this is where we're talking about gunpowder and that kind of stuff. So you're going to see, yeah, different units now. Um, we still have same the basic uh, buildings that produce this stuff. You're going to see that kind of stuff, but now the units, of course, are going to start evolving into better things. You're going to have cannons. You're going to have this one's got knights. Uh, that kind of things. Like the ships and stuff are going to be galleons and that kind of stuff. And now I'm going to build it. What they call a wonder here, and this is going to be the Lighthouse of Alexandria, which if you build next to the coast, uh, actually shows it highlights the water around you, so you can see ships coming towards you. Um, I've built my first siege factory, and I'm going to start picking up some, yeah, all the different little units here. I'm going to try to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. This game has so much going for it for when it comes to the epics part of it. I mean, I've just played just this, this gameplay. This just epic right here, and didn't progress to the next one. I just played this for hours, and I've just played the modern era where you get M1 Abrams and Leopard tanks, and you got F-14s flying off your aircraft carrier. I've just played that one, so I mean it's got such playability for extended period of times. So got the heavy ram up in case I decide it. The ballistas, longbowmens, cavalry archers. You can scoot down in here and see them. Everything's kind of, like I said, kind of blocky. I mean, this is 2001, so it's a little bit, graphics are a little dated, right? Just a little bit dated. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna jumping around here and show you a little bit of the combat, at least among the ships and stuff. This is, of course, where I'm forced to choose once again the civilization attributes that we have. So I've jumped ahead, finished my Wonder of the World, which as soon as you do that, immediately the enemy player will start to attack. Doesn't matter where, he's just going to start coming for you. So, got my siege weapons, and yeah, sorry, I killed an elephant. What am I going to do? So we're off and running. That means wherever I built it at, of course, is where the enemy's going to start showing up here. I'm going to start moving troops over there. And there's so much you can do with the buildable stuff here. You can build, cities, or just simply make it into just a huge compound of military with a 700 unit population cap, which is pretty nice. But what's also nice is you can actually build a fortress where you can put units into that doesn't count towards your population cap. So you can always just keep building and building and building. Just keep filling fortresses up with your troops, and as your troops die, you just keep pulling them out of the fortress. It's got a great wall and tower system. If you really want to play the defensive part of it, which you usually have to do pretty close right off the bat, otherwise you're going to get swamped by the enemy eye, which isn't too bad if you're just playing against one, but if you play against multiple enemy AIs, they will literally try to trash your shit. So we already got the first bad guy up, and he's coming here, and I send my battleships up there. I guess what you call it, more of the galleons, and they're going to go with the first real fight here. Of course, he still has a catapult, but my galleons have cannons, and we're just going to finish him off here real quick and start dropping big cannonballs on him. You can see the cannonballs flying through there. So yeah, so this, like I said, just a little bit of gameplay here I'm trying to show you guys, and of course as the games progress, now I've jumped to the World War II era. Now I have airports, fighters, bombers. We got the ME-262, the P-51, the B-17, and the B-29 that you saw flying earlier. So yeah, you get nuclear bombs at this point. That's when it gets fun. These battles here can get epically huge. You're going to be fighting against, aircraft carriers on the ocean. You have submarines. You have battleships, frigates, destroyers, and not just that. In your actual army, you're going to have tanks. Tanks, siege weapons, AT guns, all that kind of stuff to play with here. Building some docks right now. You have anti-aircraft guns. It's just a very entertaining dynamic gameplay. I mean, like I said, you can play this thing for hours and never really get bored. If you just want to build a defensive, play the defense. If you want to be super dick and just be super aggressive, you can. Go check out YouTube. Check out some of the gameplay. This was actually played quite competitively for a while. I don't think it was quite as popular as Age of Empires, because Age of Empires, even to this day, has a huge number of people playing, um, still playing Age of Empires. This didn't quite reach that epicness, I guess. I'm going to bring up Age of Empires 2 a few times here, because one of the games I'll probably end up playing here for you guys to watch. I'm building some frigates here. I got some battleships up coming up here. Um, the towers are actually pretty impressive. You can, once you build them up, does a pretty nice job of keeping your base safe. Of course, I always have to keep up with the constant need to pick up resources. So now, before I had dogs, now I have blimps. I can send my blimp out there and he can light things for me. Um, there's flamethrowers, there's mortars for the infantry. Yeah, it's just there's just a mind-boggling number of units you can play with here. Here I have some uh, enemy frigates moved in. I have some long-range siege weapons moving over to deal with them. I got the ME-262s. These are based on hit points. They also have a range and refuel time, so they can't be up and running all the time. So you have to be kind of careful with that. You have to be, if you're going to attack an enemy base, you have to constantly be moving your airfields forward so you can get your bombers and your um, fighters into range. All right, so I got the ME-262s dropping over here. And like I said, I'm just kind of jumping through this. Otherwise, you'd be sitting here for hours watching just a simple review and gameplay. So, with the ME-262s, they're playing a fighter bomber, and of course, I have just a plane fighters and the P-51s. There's a button down here in the bottom. I keep pushing that picks me up villagers that are not actually doing anything. And these guys are, they're the real big part of the game if you don't have villagers, because they collect your resources and they do all of your building. So I got villagers chopping trees. I got them collecting food. I got them mining gold, gold and stone, which are all needed as you progress up the tree. More toward the end, you're going to need more gold and gold and iron than you are, like, say, stone or wood. But early on, that's what you need. So there's a B-29 flying in the corner, which are super fun. They do carry the nuclear bomb. The B-17s are more of a tactical weapon. You can do a bombing run on those. So here's my siege long-range artillery. I'm going to start here dropping shells on these guys. They're kind of modeled after the historical, German train, super train guns back in World War II, World War I actually too. Big Bertha and all that kind of stuff. So you can see the big shells dropping on these guys and putting a knock into them. So, you kind of get what I'm trying to say here. I mean, if you'll see more, like I said, when I play the game, you're going to be able to check out the actual real gameplay. I got a couple tanks here with the Shermans and the Panzers. There's an enemy aircraft carrier. I actually have my aircraft up here, and here's a little bit of a dogfight. So you can get 10 aircrafts per aircraft carrier, and then you can move them anywhere on the map. And you can take them out. They, of course, go out, they fight, then they have to come back and refuel and continue to fight and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, very engaging gameplay. And you'll never be bored playing this game just by even just doing the one epic and not actually doing the starting at the prehistoric age and working all the way up to the nano age. The nano age is very interesting because that's when you start getting mechs and some of the real crazy stuff that you can do with the mechs. There's mechs that walk underwater. There's mechs that fly. That kind of stuff. You like I said, and then when you get into the scenario editor or the map editor, then you can create some of these huge. You want to recreate the Hawaiian Island attack. You can. It has the huge list of units that you can use to create these historical battles. Obviously, they're not going to be super accurate. We're playing with a video game like this. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, you could literally spend hours just in the map editor creating massive, really cool civilizations. And that kind of stuff. So once again, um, if you haven't got a chance and if you're into RTS, go pick these up. I mean, if you like the RTS, if you like the Age of Empires, that kind of thing, there's so much playability even in these games, even though they are coming up on 18 years old. Yeah. So I got my battleships here, and they are getting wasted by a submarine. Um, I'm going to move my submarines over here. They're French. Go figure. I have my aircraft carrier loaded with Corsairs. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty fun play to play this game. You're going to see here. There's my B-29 that just went by. He's circling. He likes targets like battleships, and you're going to see one of the fun parts of this game very shortly here as the B-29 and the ME-262 fly over the and that, boys and girls, was a nuclear explosion. Bye bye battleship. Yeah, that's the cool fun part of this game. So this is the final epic. This is actually called the Nano. You get laser turrets. You get mechs. Your your helicopters are all futuristic. Here I'm building a mech factory, so I can start building mechs. Um, any one of these deals, you typically, the first part of the game, you spend a lot of time building walls and towers, just trying to give you a chance to keep alive long enough to get into the battle. If you don't, you're going to get run over, because that's all the enemy does, is spend all of their money, all their gold, and all their iron on building units to send after you and attack you. So there's a little bit of base building right at the beginning to keep you alive. So here's, like I said, a number of mech units that you can build, and then a little bit later you can use, of course, drop them on transports. There's helicopter transports. Some of those mech units actually go underwater. You have fighters, bombers, and 4 different kinds of helicopters, which are super fun. So if you're playing in the modern age, you get the Apache helicopter. You get a Chinook transport helicopter, that kind of thing. So yeah, the playability is huge on this game. You just really can't go wrong with the fun that you can have in this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little run through of just giving you an idea what these epics look like. And I'll have, of course, be having gameplays come up here. I'll probably do one epic at a time and play through it and just give you guys an idea of what I'm doing. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you later.